Hey, fifth grade. It's time for chapter 16 of The Thief of Always. Before I get started, I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you to all of you who are trying to get a little bit of work done. I know that it's hard. I know that there's a lot going on in your households with your parents. I know they're trying to work from home. You're trying to work from home. I know that it sounded like it was going to be fun at first, and now not so much. So thank you. I want to just give you all a shout out for those of you who are doing some of the optional things that I am giving you. We're trying not to inundate you guys with work because we realize that some of you have lots of brothers and sisters. Everybody's trying to get work done, and your parents are trying to work from home. So I just wanted to put that out there, that I really appreciate those of you who are trying to get something done, listening to the story, because truly the hours tick by pretty slowly if we don't do something. So I'm going to read, and then I think I'm going to go paint. I don't know. I'm not a very good painter, but I thought I might try something. Just try a little something different. Anyway, here goes. So the title of chapter 16 is Back to the Happy Land. Not so sure about that, but let's see what happens. It was as if the house knew that we were coming back and was calling to them. It was as if the house knew they were coming back and was calling to them. As soon as they stepped out onto the street, their feet seemed to know all the way. All they had to do was let them lead. What do we do when we get there? Wendell wanted to know. I mean, we only just escaped with our lives the last time. Mrs. Griffin will help us, Harvey said. Wendell's breath quickened. Suppose Karna bit her head off, he said. Then we'll have to do it all alone. Do what? Find Mr. Hood. But you told me that he was dead. I don't think being dead means much to a creature like him, Harvey said. He's in the house somewhere, Wendell, and we have to hunt him down whether we like it or not. He's the one who stole all those years from our moms and dads, and we won't get them back until we face him. You make it sound easy, Wendell said. The whole house is a box of tricks, Harvey reminded him. The seasons, the presents, they're all illusions. We have to hold on to that. Harvey, look. Wendell pointed ahead of him. Harvey knew the street at a glance. 33 days ago, he'd stood there with Ritkus and listened to the tempter tell him what a fine place lay on the other side of the mist wall up ahead. This is it then, Harvey said. It was strange, but he didn't even feel afraid, even though he knew they were walking back into the enemy's arms. It was better to face Hood and his illusions now than to spend the rest of his life wondering about Lulu and mourning the years he'd lost. Are you ready? He asked Wendell. Before we go, his friend replied, can we get just one thing straight? If the house is all illusions, then how come we felt the cold? And how come I got fat from eating Mrs. Griffin's pies? And I don't know, Harvey cut in, doubt running cold fingers up his spine. I can't explain how Hood's magic works. All I know is he took all those years away to feed himself. Feed? Yeah, like a vampire. This was the first time Harvey had thought of Hood that way, but it instinctively seemed right. Blood was life, and life was what Hood fed upon. He was a vampire, sure enough. Maybe a king among vampires. So shouldn't we have a steak or holy water or something? That's just in stories, Harvey said. But if he comes after us, we fight. We fight with what? Harvey shrugged. The truth was he didn't know, but he was sure that crosses and prayers weren't going to be any of use to them in the battle that lay ahead. No more talk, he said to Wendell. If you don't want to come, then don't. I didn't say that. Good, said Harvey, and started towards the mist. Wendell followed on his heels, and just as Harvey stepped into the wall, he snatched a hold of his friend's sleeve so that they entered as they had exited together. The mist closed around them like a waterlogged blanket, pressing so hard against their faces, Harvey half thought it intended to smother them, but it only wished to keep them from changing their minds. A moment later, a tremor moved through its folds and spat them out on the other side. It was high summer in Hood's kingdom, the lazy season. The sun, which had been hidden by rain clouds on the other side of the mist, was beaming down on the house and all that prospered around it. The trees swayed in the balmy breeze. The doors and windows of the house, its porch and chimney, all gleaming as if newly painted. There were welcoming songs in the eaves, welcoming smells from the kitchen, welcoming laughter through the open door. Welcome everywhere, welcome. I'd forgotten, Wendell murmured. Forgotten what? How beautiful it is. Don't trust it, Harvey said. It's all an illusion, remember? All of it. Wendell didn't reply, but wandered away towards the trees. The honeyed breeze gusted around him as if to pluck him up. He didn't resist, but went where it was led, into a dappled shade. Wendell, Harvey said, following him across the lawn, we've got to stick together. I'd forgotten about the treehouse, Wendell said dreamily, staring up at the canopy. We had so much fun up there, remember? No, said Harvey, determined not to let the past distract him from his mission here. I don't remember. Yes, you do, said Wendell, smiling from ear to ear. We worked so hard up there. I'm going up to see how it looks. Harvey grabbed his arm. No, you're not. Yes, I am, he snapped back, wrenching his arm from Harvey's grip. I can do whatever I want. You don't own me. Harvey could see by the glazed look in Wendell's eyes that the house had already was working its seductive magic. It could only be a matter of time, he knew, before his own powers of resistance were worn away. And what then? Would he forget his work here entirely and become an empty-headed boy, laughing like a loon, while his soul was sucked away? No, he said aloud, I'm not going to let you do it. Do what? Said Wendell. We've got work to do, Harvey told him. Who cares? Wendell replied. I do. And so did you 5 minutes ago. Remember what it did to us, Wendell? The wind in the street seemed to sigh at this. It said, as if it now understood Harvey's purpose here and would waft its intelligence into the ears of Mr. Hood. Harvey didn't care. In fact, he was pleased. Go on, he said, as the gusts flew towards the house. Tell him. He turned on Wendell. Are you coming, he said, or am I going in alone? I don't mind going in, Wendell said cheerily. I'm hungry. Harvey stared hard at Wendell. Don't you remember anything we said out there, he demanded. Of course I do, Wendell replied. We said we were going to... He paused, frowning. Going to... This place has stolen time that belongs to us, Wendell. How did it do that? Said Wendell, still frowning deeply. It's just... Again he faltered, searching for the words. Just such a perfect day. The frown began to fade away, and broad smile was replaced. Who cares, Wendell said. I mean, on a day like this, who cares? Let's just enjoy ourselves. Harvey shook his head. He was losing precious time here, which was exactly what Hood and the house wanted. Instead of wasting any further words on Wendell, he turned on his heels and headed towards the front door. Wait for me, Wendell hollered. Can you smell that pie? Harvey could and wished he'd put some food in his belly before he'd started out on this adventure. Knowing that these tantalizing smells were all part of Hood's repertoire wasn't enough to stop his mouth from watering or his stomach from grumbling. All he could do was think of the dust to which his ark animals had turned when he had stepped out into the street. The pie on the kitchen table was probably made of the same bitter stuff, concealed beneath a veneer sweetness. He held on to that thought as best he could, knowing that the house into which he was about to step would be full of such blandishments. With Wendell again trailing a step behind, he climbed into the porch and marched into the house. The moment they were inside, the door slammed behind them. Harvey reeled around, his skin crawling. It was not the wind that had thrown the door shut. It was Ritkus. I don't know. This book just keeps having so many twists and turns, and when I think about it, I really like Harvey. Wendell is definitely kind of sucked into all of this, and they kind of have his number in there. They know how to get him on their way of thinking. But Harvey wants to solve this, but Ritkus and Jives and Karna and Mar, I think they're on to him, and I think they're going to try and keep him there. So anyway, that is all for today. I hope you've had a wonderful day. Again, thank you for everything that you're doing at home. And why don't you make dinner tonight? I have an idea. Yeah, I think you should make dinner tonight. Go tell your parents you're making dinner tonight. My son made pizza bagels the other day. They were okay. Or he made ramen, but he's learning to cook. That's good. You should do that too. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.